So I'm going to do a little bit of a different kind of video, something that's a little out of the norm for my YouTube channel, and that's discuss an artist named Al Columbia, and he did work for Zero Zero. He did work for other comics also, but he produced some stuff for Zero Zero. His total output is very little. Um, and I think he may have some issues, but he is definitely, I would say, the most disturbing comic book creator I have ever seen. So just be warned that some of the imagery here is disturbing. But he is a really fascinating creator. So this is actually a compilation of different artists, and this is where it starts with the Al Columbia section, and it features characters named Seymour Sunshine and Ishkabibble the Monkey Boy. And so basically down here, it's supposed to kind of resemble a comic from or a animated film from say the 1930s, 1940s, and it says the reward $1 billion for the first person who can successfully acquire the fabled hummingbird pies. Unfortunately, they have to get through the white cinnamon twins. Actually, one of them is already dead, but Cinnamon Jack is still alive, and so if they want to get the fabled hummingbird pies, they have to get through Cinnamon Jack, and so they're discussing it, using a little bit of foul language, and so Ishkabibble just starts playing with Seymour's face, and he's got dollar signs up in his head. And I guess eventually he convinces Seymour Sunshine to go along with his scheme to get money. And it, by the way, the story is called "I Was Killing When Killing Wasn't Cool." And so pilgrims raised their sails and cast their hearts to the west, with nary a bee nor bird to guide them, save for the shivery anticipation of idle fortune and cheap women. And this is where it gets disturbing. So so it says soon, and there's very little dialogue after this. And so Ishkabibble is walking along and kind of has to drag Seymour along because Seymour is very hesitant and it's very gloomy. Al Columbia is just a master at creating atmosphere. And so as they approach the house, they see heads on spikes. And I find this very disturbing. Just these leering mouths or gaping mouths. And in front of the house, they see there is Cinnamon Jack. And Ishkabibble says, "Easy now. There's our man. Now remember, be polite and no suddenness." And Cinnamon Jack, by the way, is blind, and he has what appears to be a very large sling blade. So they approach him. Steady. They get right up there, and Ishkabibble says, "Hey, fat ass, you got any sweets for my pal and me?" "Yeah, that's right, you big piece of..." I ain't taking no for an answer. So Cinnamon Jack isn't real amused by that, so he picks up his sling blade and chops off Seymour Sunshine's nose. And Ishkabibble just says oink. Now Cinnamon Jack goes after Ishkabibble, but he manages to dodge a few times, punches him apparently in the groin, jumps on his back, grabs him by the top of the mouth, and just yanks back until he tears the top of his head off, and pulls his nose off and consumes it. So these two are kind of disturbing in their own right, and Al Columbia is kind of notorious for that, for the heroes to be almost as disturbing as the villains. So they enter the house, and it is creepy. There's nothing in the house except a table and a bowl. And so they walk over to this bleak, empty house, into it, gaze inside the pot, and there is, I guess, the hummingbird pie or something. I don't know what that is. I guess there's a tub in there also with a stopper out. So Seymour wanders over and looks in the mirror, and he sees an orange dot. He's a little confused, and there's the orange dot. Touches his forehead, and out comes his brain, which disturbs him. But then when he opens his eyes again, it's gone. And then in the mirror, he sees this horrifying visage. It looks kind of like Seymour, except really evil looking. And Seymour is quite disturbed and runs off as Ishkabibble sits in the tub, and Seymour just runs right into a wall because he's so frightened, laying on the ground. And out comes this thing, this creature, steps into the sink, and the birds represent it. He's been knocked unconscious. And this creature, this being, drops through the floor, rises up again, and pulls out blades for hands. Goes over to Ishkabibble and uses one of his blades to lift his hat off, and puts the hat on his own head as Seymour looks on bewildered. And then the creature is able to turn his hand into a gun and shoots, and I guess that's the end of Ishkabibble. He kills him. Lifts the hat off, and then the birds fly out. He starts cracking his own neck and laughing at what he's done. And Seymour is understandably highly disturbed. Looks like he grabs up, I don't know if that's a brick of soap or just a brick, and attempts to throw it, but instead it just turns into some more birds. And he's confused. And so the being says, "Huh?" Seymour says, "Yep." And he puts out his hand to shake it. He's shaking up and down. "Yep." "Pleasure to make your acquaintance." "Oh, likewise, I'm sure." And as he grips his hand turns into pincers and cuts off Seymour's hand. And then I guess this is supposed to be his face, which becomes increasingly distorted. And then we see outside the house, and I think we can assume that Seymour and Ishkabibble are no more. And it says, "I worship the devil boy. He doesn't even know I exist. Seymour Sunshine." And it says, "Hey kids, always remember to get along with the cinnamon boy," and a disturbing sun. And my sincere apologies to Max and Dave Fleischer from the Fleischer cartoons, and thanks to Kim Thompson. I find these things really disturbing. They are really interesting to look at, but his ability to create disturbing imagery is, I think, unparalleled in comics. I've never seen anything like it. And I will go through and I will show some more stuff. These are hard comics to get. They really are. Particularly the Al Columbia ones are. Because I think once you get into what Al Columbia produces, it's hard to forget them. They are very disturbing. So anyway, this is 00 August 1995. They don't put the issue numbers on these. So I'm not sure which issue. Maybe, no, I'm not sure which issue. But that's, I was killing when killing wasn't cool.